Malaga Radio.
Freshly squeezed.
The juice on all the daily events along the coast.
With just a little bit of zest.
Hola and welcome. You're listening to the Malaga Radio Weekly Diary. I'm Carmen.
And I'm Baptiste. Every week we bring you the best of what's happening right across the Costa del Sol, from big fiestas and food fairs to concerts, culture, and a little sport thrown in too.
And this week we're talking post-Feria celebrations, castles turning into concert venues, sandwiches with a twist, and even the echoes of history that still shape Malaga today.
So whether you're here for a few days or lucky enough to call this coast home, stay with us. We'll guide you through the highlights from Monday, the 25th, to Sunday, the 31st of August.
Malaga Radio.
For this week's spotlight, we wanted to go a little deeper, beyond the concerts and the fiestas, into something that makes Malaga truly different. A story that isn't Arab and isn't Spanish, but something born right here in Andalusia.
Exactly. It's the legacy of Al-Andalus, the culture that still shapes the food, the streets, and the spirit of this place today. And this week you can feel it all around you.
When people think of Andalucía, they often picture flamenco dancers, bright fiestas, or maybe the whitewashed villages on the hills. But underneath all of that, there's something deeper, a heritage that doesn't belong to Madrid, and it doesn't really belong to North Africa either. It was created here, in these valleys and coastal towns. It's called Al-Andalus, and it still whispers through Malaga every single day.
And that's important to say out loud, because Al-Andalus wasn't just a passing influence or an exotic decoration. It was a whole civilization. For centuries, Malaga, Córdoba, Granada, they were part of one of the most advanced corners of Europe, in medicine, in architecture, in philosophy, even in how different religions lived side by side. While much of Europe was struggling, Al-Andalus was lighting lamps, planting gardens, and filling libraries.
And you feel that when you're here. The arches in courtyards, the cool water channels that run through gardens, the way people gather to eat together in plazas, these aren't borrowed details. They're the living echo of something that was born right here, a culture that shaped daily life and still does in ways that maybe even locals don't always stop to notice.
And that's what makes Malaga different. It's not just Arab, it's not just Spanish, it's Al-Andalus. And once you start to see it, you realize it's everywhere, from the stones under your feet to the flavors on your plate.
You know, I think that's why Malagueños are so proud of this heritage. It isn't something kept in a museum or locked away in a history book. It's lived every single day, in the food, in the plazas, in the rhythm of life here.
Yeah, let's be honest. Sometimes that rhythm is very relaxed. The famous mañana way of doing things. But even that, when you think about it, has roots in Al-Andalus, a culture built around long summers, hot afternoons, and knowing that life isn't just about rushing, it's about balance.
Exactly. And it's not pride in a way that shuts people out. It's pride that invites you in. When you walk through Malaga's historic center and you see the mix of influences, the cathedral built on the site of the old mosque, the Moorish walls peeking out behind tapas bars, you realize this isn't borrowed heritage. It's woven into the identity of the city.
And that's the big difference. This isn't about being Arab or Spanish or Christian or Muslim. It's about being Andalusian, being Malagueño. Al-Andalus gave people here a sense of place that goes beyond borders.
And it means when they share it with you, a dish, a song, a festival, they're not showing you something old. They're showing you something they still live with and feel in their bones. And the best part is, you don't have to go searching in dusty history books to feel Al-Andalus. This week, it's alive in the streets all across the province.
Benalmádena Polo is a perfect example. Their Zoco Arabe, the Arab souk, fills the old village with light, color, and music from August 28th through the 31st. There are stalls, falconry shows, Sephardic concerts, kids' workshops. It's like stepping straight back into a Moorish market town, only with the ice cream stands for the kids.
And just up the road, Frigiliana is celebrating its Festival of the Three Cultures, 4 days of parades, craft markets, and concerts that honor how Christians, Muslims, and Jews once lived side by side here. It's food, it's theater, it's music until late into the night. And it's all set against one of the prettiest hilltop villages in Andalusia.
And then there's Vélez-Málaga lighting up with La Noche in Vela on August 30th. Candlelit streets, open-air concerts, guided tours, the whole historic center turned into a stage. It's the kind of night where you feel how history and culture aren't just preserved here, they're celebrated.
So, whether you're in the mood for souks and Sephardic music or candlelit squares and heritage tours, this week you can live Al-Andalus with your own eyes and ears. So, when you walk through Malaga this week, whether it's the souk in Benalmádena, the candlelit squares of Vélez, or the multicultural streets of Frigiliana, remember, you're not just visiting events, you're stepping into the living echo of Al-Andalus.
And that's what makes Malaga more than a beach town. It's a place where heritage is still alive, still being celebrated, and always ready to welcome you in.
And that's the magic of this region. History you can taste, touch, and dance to. Now, shall we see what else is happening this week?
Málaga Radio.
Agosto on the Costa del Sol isn't just about long days at the beach. It's fiesta season, and that means music in the plazas, saints carried through the streets, candles lighting up old town squares, and families celebrating well into the night. Every town seems to have its own way of keeping tradition alive, and this week is packed with some of the most colorful.
And what I love is how different each one feels. One night you might be swept up in a solemn procession with candles and church bells. The next, you're in a medieval market with falcons overhead, or dancing in a street party that doesn't care if it's 2 p.m. or 2 a.m. Malaga doesn't do fiestas halfway. They're full-on, heart-on-sleeve celebrations, and they pull you right in.
Let's start in Sabinillas, just down by Manilva, where August 25th is always a special date, the Fiesta of San Luis. He's the town's patron saint, and the whole community turns out in traditional dress for a celebration that mixes devotion with plenty of dancing and food. You'll see a solemn mass, processions winding through the streets, and neighbors proudly carrying the image of San Luis. But around the edges, there's music, fairground ride, and the color of a real Andalusian fiesta.
And it has that small town charm I really like. Families line the streets, the kids run around in flamenco outfits, and there's always the smell of churros or sardines grilling nearby. The day usually ends with live music, sometimes a bit of flamenco, sometimes pop bands, and of course plenty of dancing that goes late into the night. It might not be as big as Malaga's Feria, but it has just as much heart. If you want to feel what these local fiestas are all about, Sabinillas on the 25th is a perfect place to start.
Now, if you thought Malaga was taking a break after the Feria last week, think again. The city moves almost seamlessly from one celebration to the next, and by the end of August, attention shifts to the Virgen de la Victoria, Malaga's patron saint. Her feast day is September 8th, but the build-up begins on August 30th, so the city center starts to buzz again with processions, novenas, and music.
And there's a different tone to it compared with Feria, where the Feria is loud, colorful, and a little wild. The Virgen de la Victoria is more about devotion and tradition. You'll see the statue carried through the streets, balconies dressed with flowers, and people gathering quietly at the cathedral and the sanctuary up on the hill. But don't think it's somber. Malaga always finds a way to mix reverence with celebration, and there's still music, fireworks, and a real sense of pride. It's like the city reminding you that faith and fiesta often go hand in hand here.
And over in Torremolinos, the end of August brings the Verbena de San Miguel, a real neighborhood fiesta that acts as a warm-up for the big San Miguel Feria later in September. This one runs from the 29th to the 31st, and is all about community spirit, with stages set up in the plazas, live music each night, and families coming together to enjoy the late summer evenings.
I love Verbenas because they're that perfect mix. A bit of tradition, a bit of fun, and very local. You'll see kids in bouncy castles, older neighbors, dancing sevillanas, and plenty of food stalls dishing up churros and mortaditos. It's not a tourist show. It's the kind of gathering where you feel like part of the barrio for a night. If you want to catch Torremolinos before the crowds of the Biferia arrive, this is the weekend to do it.
One of the most magical late summer fiestas has to be in Frigiliana, where the Festival de las Tres Culturas takes over the whole village from the 28th to the 31st. This is where history, food, and music all meet, celebrating the Christian, Muslim, and Jewish influences that shaped Andalusia. The cobbled streets are lit with lanterns, there are parades and street performers, and every corner seems to have live music spilling out.
And then there's the Ruta de la Tapa, dozens of little bars and restaurants offering tasting portions inspired by the three cultures. You might try a Sephardic stew in one place, Moorish spiced lamb in another, and a classic Spanish tortilla in the next. Add in craft stalls, open-air concerts, and that incredible mountain backdrop, and it feels like you've stepped into another world for the weekend. Honestly, a Frigiliana during this festival is one of those memories you carry with you long after summer's over.
On the night of August 30th, Vélez-Málaga turns into something out of a dream with La Noche en Vela, the Night of Candles. From sunset until well past midnight, the historic center glows under thousands of candles and lanterns. Streets, churches, and plazas are lit up in a way that makes the whole town feel timeless, almost like stepping back into another century.
And it's not just about the light. The whole evening is filled with culture. You've got live music, street theater, exhibitions, and guided tours that bring the town's history to life. Families wander slowly through the streets. Musicians play on corners. And every so often, you stumble on a choir singing or dancers performing. It's one of those nights where the pace slows down and you really feel the soul of a place. Vélez-Málaga shows off its heritage with so much pride, and the candlelight just makes it unforgettable.
And finally, for this week, Benalmádena Pueblo takes you straight into the world of Al-Andalus with its Arab souk, running from the 28th to the 31st. The narrow streets of the old town fill with colorful stalls, traditional crafts, and the smell of spices and teas. There are falconry displays, children's workshops, and live separnas and Andalusian music that carries through the plazas.
It's a brilliant way to get a taste, quite literally, of the Moorish heritage that shaped this whole region. You can sip mint tea, browse handmade jewelry, or just let the rhythm of the drums and flutes draw you deeper into the town. And what I like is how it's not just a market, it's an atmosphere. The Polobon transforms for those few days. And if you were listening earlier, you'll know we've already dived deep into those echoes of Al and Andalus in our spot. And this festival is a living reminder of that history.
So that's your festivals and traditions for the week. From the candlelit streets of Vélez-Málaga to the colorful souk in Benalmádena Pueblo. It's a reminder that even after the big Feria, August still has plenty of magic tucked away in the towns and villages around Malaga.
Oh, absolutely. And we're only just getting started. After the break, we'll dive into culture and exhibitions with art, cinema, and some late summer surprises waiting for you.
Malaga Radio.
Festivals are all about atmosphere. But Malaga also has a cultural heartbeat that keeps on ticking well beyond the party lights. And late August is a lovely time to explore it. Quieter galleries, open-air film nights, and villages that turn their streets into open stages.
Exactly. So if you're looking for a change of pace after the ferias, here are some of the best culture and exhibition events happening this week across the Costa del Sol.
Tangate Centro de Arte Contemporáneo, known as the CAC in Malaga. You've got two very different exhibitions on show. One is Glory is Something Else by Matias Sanchez, dreamlike. Colorful pieces that mix figures and fantasy in ways that make you stop and look twice. It runs until September 1st, so this week is your last chance to catch it.
And then, if you're quick, there's Muricol by Mario Ayala, but only until August 25th. He's an LA-based artist showing in Europe for the first time, and his work brings a kind of urban pop industrial vibe to the CAC. It's gritty, bold, and feels very different to Sanchez, which is what makes visiting right now so good. You step from one world straight into another under the same roof.
If you'd rather swap paintings for popcorn, Torremolinos is still running its summer cinema through the last week of August. These are free, open-air film nights right on the beach. Families bringing chairs, kids running around in the sand, and the big screen flickering as the sun goes down.
It's such a classic Costa del Sol summer scene. Some nights you'll get Disney, other nights Spanish classics or more recent blockbusters, but really it's the atmosphere that makes it special. You've got the sea breeze, the sound of waves just behind you, and a whole town coming together for a simple summer ritual.
We mentioned the Arab souk earlier in festivals, but it's worth bringing up again here because it isn't just a fiesta, it's a cultural experience. The whole village becomes a stage for Andalusian and Sephardic music, falconry, and traditional craft.
Exactly. If you think of it less as a market and more as a live museum, it makes sense why it belongs in this section too. You can wander through streets that feel centuries old, hear the instruments of Al-Andalus echoing, and see artisans at work. It's one of those moments where the region's history is lived rather than told.
And one of the most beautiful cultural celebrations of the summer takes place in Frigiliana, up in the Axarquia Hills, the festival of the three cultures. From the 28th to the 31st, the whole village comes alive with music, parades, and markets celebrating the shared heritage of Christian, Muslim, and Jewish communities.
What makes it special is how it's not just performances or stalls, it's the setting. Frigiliana's whitewashed streets, narrow alleys, and hilltop views create this magical backdrop where history and culture come together. You might find Sephardic music one moment, flamenco another, and all around you smells of spiced food drifting through the air. It's heritage you can taste, hear, and feel.
So whether it's the Arab souk in Benalmádena, the candlelit streets of Vélez, the multicultural rhythms of Frigiliana, or the bold canvases at CAC Málaga, this week is proof that culture here isn't something you observe from a distance. It's something you step right into.
Exactly. And after so much art, music, and history, you're bound to work up an appetite. Luckily, the food and hospitality calendar has its own highlights, from quirky street festivals to late summer tastings. Let's tuck into that next.
Málaga Radio.
Culture might feed the soul, but here in Costa del Sol, food and drink are just as much a part of the experience. This week brings everything from gourmet tapas routes to down-to-earth street food festivals, all with that Andalusian flair.
And it's not just about eating, it's about sharing. Locals and visitors coming together around long tables, in village plazas, or even by the sea. Let's see what's cooking this week.
First up, something playful. Fuengirola Sohail Castle is the setting this weekend for Bocata Fest, running from the 29th to the 31st. Think of it as a love letter to the humble Spanish sandwich, the bocadillo. But these aren't your rushed cafe snacks. They're reimagined with gourmet fillings, creative twists, and plenty of Andalusian flavor.
Right. You'll see everything from jamón serrano, piled high in crusty bread, to slow roasted meats, veggie options with roasted peppers and olive oil, even sweet takes for dessert. The idea is simple. Grab a sandwich, stroll between stalls, and enjoy a drink with friends. And because it's Fuengirola, there's live music and that castle by the sea atmosphere too.
One of those events where you come for the food but stay for the buzz. Families, groups of friends, tourists mingling with locals. If you're here this weekend, bring your appetite and maybe skip lunch before heading down. Bocata Fest runs Friday through Sunday. As fun as it is filling.
And from gourmet bocadillos in Fuengirola, we swing east along the coast to Torre del Mar, where the weekend brings the Feria de Sabor a Malaga. Part food fair, part cultural showcase, all about celebrating what's grown, baked, and bottled right here in the province.
Picture rows of market stalls under the summer sky, piled high with olives, cheeses, honey, wines, craft beers, every flavor that tells the story of Malaga's countryside. Farmers and producers bring their best, and you can taste your way around without ever leaving the seafront.
And it's not just sampling. There are live cooking demos, pairings, even a few talks about traditional methods and sustainability. It's the kind of feria where you learn something while happily nibbling away.
So whether you're stocking up for a picnic, or just curious to discover what local flavor really means, Torremolinos is the place to be from the 29th to the 31st. Over in Nerja, it's all about the sea. The Feria del Pescado brings the town's fishing routes right onto your plate. From fried boquerones to grilled sardines, this is the ultimate celebration of what's landed just offshore.
Exactly. You can expect stars by the Balcón de Europa, smoky espetos cooked over open flame, and fishermen proud to share their catch of the day. Simple, fresh, and about as Nerja as it gets.
And it's more than eating. There's music, local wines, and that holiday atmosphere with waves crashing below the cliffs. Perfect if you want your festival with a side of sea breeze.
The Feria del Pescado usually runs over the weekend, and it's one of those where you can wander in, try a plate or two, and feel like you've stepped into the town's story. Now, if you like a little adventure with your eating, head to Rincón de la Victoria for the Ruta de la Tapa. Think of it as a treasure hunt, only the prizes are plates of tapas and a glass of something cold.
Each bar and restaurant along the route puts its own twist on a tapa. Some stick with classics like tortilla or albondigas. Others get creative with seafood or fusion flavors. The fun is in trying them all, comparing notes, and finding your favorite.
And the best part is the atmosphere. Locals, families, and visitors strolling from spot to spot, menus stramped as they go. It's not just a meal, it's an evening of exploring the town, one bite at a time.
So if you've got an appetite and a sense of curiosity, the tapas route in Rincón de la Victoria is a delicious way to spend the night. So whether it's fresh fish on the coast, tapas hopping through Rincón, or sampling the best of Malaga's countryside at Torre del Mar, Food here isn't just fuel. It's heritage, it's community, it's the way the province tells its story.
And that story keeps going after the plates are cleared, because once the sun sets, Malaga's nights light up with concerts, festivals, and open-air parties. Music and nightlife are just as much a part of the summer flavor.
Stay with us. Right after the break, we'll take you through the week's biggest sounds and stages.
Malaga Radio.
You know, Baptiste, as we hit the final stretch of summer, there's a touch of nostalgia in the air. Starlite has given us nights to remember, from the Beach Boys singing Under the Stars to Marc Anthony making Marbella dance, even MMA fights that turned the stage into an arena.
Oh, and let's not forget the Starlight Gala, Antonio Banderos and Sandra Garcia San Juan at the helm, turning Marbella into the beating heart of Spain's summer season. It's been a whirlwind of music, glamour, and those one-off moments you only get here on the coast.
Now, as August winds down, there are still some big nights left. So let's take a look at who's closing out the season and where the party's happening.
First up, a little romance and nostalgia of its own. Bano and Romina Power take the stage on the 27th of August. Their timeless duets have been soundtracks for generations and is the kind of night where every chorus feels like a sing-along.
Then it's Camilo with 2 back-to-back shows on the 28th and 29th. His energy is infectious, that blend of Latin pop and feel-good rhythm that has made him a global sensation. These concerts are almost sold out, so if you're lucky enough to have a ticket, it's going to be one to remember.
And finally, on August 30th, Starlite signs off 2025 with Bresh. Think of it as one big farewell party. DJs dancing and that mix of urban beats and glittering atmosphere that always leaves Marbella on a high note.
So yes, the season may be ending, but it's going out with style. From nostalgia to new stars and one last all-night celebration. This is the Starlight way of saying see you next summer.
And while Starlight bows out in Marbella, Malaga City keeps the beat going in its own way.
On Thursday the 29th, the Ocon Auditorium in the park hosts a free cultural evening. Music and dance under the open sky, the kind of community stage where you might stumble onto something fresh and unexpected.
And then Friday night at Moël Euno, the Pont Plaza comes alive with the 8 years, a local band belting out all those classic hits from the 80s. It's free, it's fun, and with the cathedral lights behind you and the sea breeze in your hair, it's a pretty magical way to spend a summer night.
So yes, from glamorous headliners in Marbella to free concerts by the water, the last week of August proves once again that Malaga province knows how to do summer nights.
So that's it, to soundtrack to the final nights of August, from the big stage farewells at Starlight to free concerts in the heart of Malaga City.
And if music isn't your only rhythm, don't worry. There's plenty happening on the beaches, golf courses, and even in the riding arenas this week.
Stick with us, because next up we've got sports and outdoors, from beach volleyball to equestrian shows and everything in between.
Malaga Radio.
And finally, let's lace up our trainers and step outside, because sports and the outdoors are a huge part of life here on the Costa del Sol. From the roar of La Rosaleda on match day to golf tournaments in Marbella and beach volleyball at sunset, this is a week where the province shows off its sporting heartbeat.
Exactly. It's not just about spectating either. Many of these events are open to visitors who fancy joining in. So whether you're cheering in the stands, watching Andalusian horses dance in Torremolinos, or jumping into a casual game on the sand at Malagueta, there's what's happening. Let's start with football, because Malaga CF are back at La Rosaleda this Sunday night, taking on Real Sociedad's B-side in La Liga Hypermotionée. Kickoff is at 8:30 p.m. And as always, the atmosphere in the stadium is electric. Blue and white shirts everywhere, kids waving flags, and that chant of Malaga, Malaga, echoing off the stands.
Tickets are still available through the club's website and offices, and it's worth going just for the buzz. La Rosaleda is one of those places where you feel the heartbeat of the city. Whether you're a diehard fan or just curious to see Spanish football up close, it's a fantastic evening out. And if your sport is more about green fairways than roaring stadiums, this week brings some very classy golf action to the Costa del Sol. The Intercontinental Marbella Golf Cup is underway, running until the 30th, and it rotates through some of the region's most prestigious courses. Think Marbella Club, Finca Cortesín, maybe even Valderrama. It's elite amateur golf with a very international flavor.
Alongside that, there's the summer tournament at La Hacienda Links on Wednesday, the 27th, an early shotgun start at 9:30 a.m. with prizes, cocktails, and that unbeatable view across the Mediterranean. And don't forget La Cal Resort in Mayas and Los Arqueros up in the hills above San Pedro. Both have competitions running all week. If you're a golf fan, this is a golden stretch to watch some great play or even join it. Of course, the Costa del Sol is as much about the sea as the land, and this time of year, the marinas are alive. Fuengirola and Benalmádena have just wrapped up their Reguladiet Regatta, but keep an eye on Puerto Banús, where late summer boat parties and club festivals spill out from the docks. It's not always on an official race calendar. Sometimes it's just about music, sails, and sunset cruising.
And if your passion has 4 legs rather than sails, Wednesdays mean horses in Torremolinos. Club Hípico El Ranchito stages their weekly equestrian and flamenco show, a colorful blend of Andalusian horsemanship and dance, with doors opening early for a behind-the-scenes tour. It's one of those experiences that feels deeply rooted in tradition, yet still spectacularly theatrical. And then there's the most casual and maybe the most fun sport of all, beach volleyball. On Monday and Friday afternoons, you'll find groups gathering down at La Malagueta Beach for open matches. It's travelers, expats, and locals all mixing together. You can join in or just sit back with a cold drink and watch the rallies fly across the sand.
Quilling Beach has games too, usually around 6 p.m., and it's the same vibe. Spontaneous, friendly, and framed by the sun setting over the sea. No tickets, no grandstands, just that pure summer feeling. And honestly, that sums up the Costa del Sol in August. From football stadiums to golf fairways, from equestrian shows to pickup games on the beach, sport here is as varied as the landscape itself.
So that's your week of sport here on the Costa del Sol, from stadium cheers to sandy beach rallies, and plenty of ways to soak up that Andalusian energy.
Whether it's football under the lights, a round of golf in the sun, or just watching a beach match with your toes in the sand, there's always a game to follow.
And that's the wrap for Sports and Outdoors this week.
Málaga Radio.
And that brings us to the end of this week's diary. 7 days of food, music, fiestas, sport, and a special look at the Al-Andalus spirit that makes Malaga so unique.
Remember, if you miss anything, you can catch this episode again as a podcast. Just search Málaga Radio Weekly Diary on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen.
And of course, for daily updates, tune in every morning to Freshly Squeezed, where we'll bring you the day's events, tips, and a few surprises.
Thanks for listening. Enjoy your week, and we'll see you next Monday with more from the Costa del Sol. Until then, que lo pases bien.
Málaga Radio. Málaga Radio.